Welcome to Speak for Yourself, Marcellus Wiley with Emmanuel Acho.
My dog.
Come on, let's bring them into our off-mic conversation. Rihanna or Beyonce?
It's not a conversation.
It's not?
It's Beyonce. It is not a conversation. I will not allow this to be a conversation.
Yeah, in 2004, you're right. But right now, it's Rihanna. Let's get it started in 2021 in Cleveland, where the Browns exercised the fifth-year option on Baker Mayfield for nearly $19 million, which will extend his deal through 2022. Yay, Baker. Baker's coming off leading Cleveland to the first playoff win in 26 years. Still have talks with the team on a long-term deal this offseason. So, Acho, what does this say about the Browns' commitment to Baker?
Well, one, it says that they are overly committed, and overly, not in the negative connotation, overly in the connotation of they are committed beyond the expectations of everyone else, overly committed. And two, Sel, it tells me that they know something we didn't know. It tells me that the Browns finally realize what the rest of the world is coming to believe, which is Baker Mayfield is actually a quality, competent, bona fide starting quarterback, especially for the Cleveland Browns. Now, remember, for those that are like, well, this was only Baker's first good year. Baker shows up his rookie year with a coach who was 1-31 in his previous 32 games.
Did I just hear coach when you're talking about Baker? Uh-oh. Blame game. Okay, I'm sorry.
He shows up with a coach that was 1-31 in his previous 32.
And then what happened?
And then he ends up with another coach who made such an egregious call this year that we were wondering if he was trying to throw the game. That is Greg Williams. And then he has another coach, Freddie Kitchens, who had never been a coach before in his life, a head football coach. So Baker Mayfield's first 2 years, he got 3 coaches. But then his third year, you give him a competent head coach in Kevin Stefanski, and he balls. So what the Browns showed me is not only they're committed, but they also showed me they have the common sense in realizing Baker Mayfield's shortcomings were not Baker Mayfield's fault. Baker Mayfield's shortcomings were a result of poor coaching. Ooh. Now you give a great player great coaching, and you see great results.
My turn? All right, okay. You know damn well. First of all, I have to address this and frame it properly because I know a lot of Cleveland Brown fans don't like me and they don't want me to come to Cleveland. Well, guess what? That makes 2 of us. I don't want to go to Cleveland either. I'm from L.A. and I'm going to stay here. Let's say this. I've always said pick up his 5th-year option. Why? It's cheap money. You're invested in the market, right? You got a financial planner, right? All those things. It's good times right now in terms of them cheap interest rates, right? Them low interest rates, it's cheap money. Guess what? Baker Mayfield, $18 million, cheap money. This has nothing to do about how good he is. This is a 2-year plan, basically. Baker Mayfield, show us who you really are. You could talk about the coaches of yesteryear. You could talk about last year in terms of the team success, even though they didn't drive the offense through Baker Mayfield. But Kevin Stefanski and this organization saying, you got 2 years, this year and next year. Prove yourself. And if you notice in this situation, $18 million puts them right in a prove-it position. What is $18 million in NFL? That is either a fringe starter or a backup player. Teddy Bridgewater, $21 million. Taysom Hill, $16 million. Right between there is $18 million. And that's where Baker Mayfield lands. You better hope that Baker Mayfield doesn't play between Taysom Hill and Teddy Bridgewater, because trust me, that's it for Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. So fans out there, don't get your hopes up too much because you might get what you're paying for. And if you get what you're paying for, $18 million quarterback, that's not the quarterback of the future. So this was a formality. Give him his money, give him his time and his runway to prove who he really is.
That's fair, but let's not act as though this was such a formality. Why do I say that?
What?
Mitch Trubisky.
Oh.
Mitch Trubisky ain't got that 5th-year option. Now, Mitch Trubisky, by statistical metrics, his last 3 years versus Baker's last 3 years, he crushes Baker in several statistical metrics. Overall record, 29-21 was Mitch. Baker's 23-22. Completion percentage, Mitch was a 64% completion percentage. Playoff appearances, Mitch went twice to Baker's 1. So Mitch crushes Baker Mayfield. I can't act like this is just a no-brainer formality because it wasn't a no-brainer for another team. The other thing is, I think, Sel, this belief in Baker Mayfield is going to cause further belief in himself, and it will lead to him thriving. Baker Mayfield, Sel.
Oh, he needed them to be like, we believe.
Yeah, I mean, don't your son need to believe?
He's 5, but yeah. How old is Baker?
Don't your daughter need a little bit of belief?
Yeah, she's 1.
I'm talking about your oldest daughter.
She's 2. I got kids, cuz. All right, my 22-year-old.
Yes.
I called her fat last night. She was mad at me. She getting big. Oh, I'm sorry, too much? Okay, anyway, no, she doesn't need me. The point is, she's isolated from my beliefs in her because she has her own beliefs in herself. Where's Baker's belief in himself?
I hate you.
I'm just telling the truth. I'll talk to you about that.
Look, big dog, it's not guaranteed. One, it's not guaranteed because we see other teams haven't done it.
Right.
More importantly, Baker Mayfield has defied all the odds with everybody doubting him. My dog has defied all the odds. Even he survived terrible coaches. Remember, Josh Rosen didn't. Josh Rosen, number 10 overall pick. Yo, they threw him some bad coaches. I don't even know what squad he is on right now.
Facts.
I saw him during an NFL game sitting in the stands.
Facts.
I was like, hey.
He's on the 49ers.
Is he?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and he's behind Jimmy G, and they only want Jimmy G. Anyway, it's another conversation for another time. So with that being said, so it's like, now you're actually going to believe and commit to Baker Mayfield.
No.
Just wait to see the results that are going to come. Just wait to see the results that are going to follow. I'll end it by saying this, though.
Let's hear it.
I'm not convinced the Browns love Baker Mayfield. But I'm convinced of this.
Okay.
They like him enough to not want to see him with anybody else.
Yes.
And we got to digest that, right? Like, you can be in a
yes.
relationship and you don't know if you want to propose just yet. You don't know if you want to be betrothed to her. You don't know if you want to spend the rest of your life. Betrothed. You're Lion King. Throwback word. You don't know if you want to spend the rest of your life with that person. But you do know this. You don't want to see him dining with nobody else. You do know this. You don't want to see him walking down the street holding hands with nobody else. You do know this. You don't want to see them elsewhere. So you're not sure if you love them, but you love them enough to not leave them. And that's where the Browns are with Baker. We're not sure if we love him, but we love him enough to not want to see him with anybody else.
Okay. Whew, you're giving me so much ammunition. Let's not act like there's something special about a formality, okay? It's not. It's only special if you do something with it as a formality. Wake up in the morning, you have breakfast, right? Ain't nothing special about breakfast unless you make a bomb-ass breakfast. You know what I mean? If you're just eating cereal, it's just a formality. All right, I got to get something in my body. They say this is the most important meal of the day. Okay, cereal. Okay, pick up Baker's fifth-year option. Simple. Now, if Baker goes out there and start whipping it up, you know, cracking a few eggs, making some omelets up in that thing, ham and cheese, then we talking something. But boy, right now, this is just runway to prove who he is. It's a low-risk, high-reward situation, potentially. Let me say something positive about Baker Mayfield, because I always talk about how I think he's talented, but that gets lost in all the hate that comes out of my mouth as well. Only players in NFL history to throw for over 3,500 passing yards and 20 touchdown passes in each of the first 3 seasons are Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, and Baker Mayfield. So it is a formality with an opportunity for him to go and grow and be the franchise quarterback they want. But however, let's not read too much into this as well, because they're starting at the back of the line for fifth-year options at quarterbacks. Think about that. Are they trying to pick up Josh Allen's fifth-year option right now? No. Are they trying to pick up Lamar Jackson's right now? No. You know why? They're having bigger, greater conversations about franchise quarterback money. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Not Teddy Bridgewater / Taysom Hill money. They're not talking those pennies. They're talking big bank. And in this situation, Baker Mayfield, I hope he looks in the mirror and realizes people have passed him up in his same draft class. Imagine that, Acho. I know you're competitive. I know you're mentally competitive. Every athlete is. Hopefully every person is out there in their own world and endeavors. When I got drafted 52, 53 on back, you ain't passing me. Like, when I saw Orlando Pace had a Pro Bowl year, I was like, yeah, he #1 pick in my class. Like, duh, you know what I mean? No, number 1 through 51, I give y'all a little bit of a pass, right? But 53 on, hell no. And then some of them did pass me. So the point is, Baker Mayfield, in your own draft class, in your own draft round, in the first round, a couple guys done passed you up already in this conversation. It's on you, this opportunity, this commitment, or lack thereof.
But, Sel, I don't think you're counting the reality of the blessings of the situation. What do I mean by that?
Ooh, I like.
Formalities aren't always formal.
What are they, informalities?
Because, no.
What?
Formal is to be officially sanctioned or recognized, right?
Okay.
So formalities are not always recognized. What do I mean by that? You go to dinner with somebody.
Who?
In theory, it's a formality with your wife. In theory, it's a formality to open the door.
Yeah,
In theory, it's a formality to pull the chair out.
Yeah.
Like I said. In theory, it's a formality.
Yeah.
But formalities aren't always formal. Formalities aren't always recognized because don't everybody open doors.
Facts.
Don't everybody pull chairs out. Don't everybody do that and acknowledge formalities. So while you may seemingly scoff at this formality, my point is very simple. Like, let's not get it twisted, big dog. These formalities ain't always formal. Not every first-round pick gets that fifth-year option picked up, even if they have performed better. So what does that mean? If I'm picking up the fifth-year option, even though Baker Mayfield's first 3 seasons haven't been as great or as grand as other quarterbacks whose fifth-year options haven't been picked up, then the Browns see something they want to commit to. Then the Browns see something they want to hitch their wagon to. Then the Browns see what I don't think you see and what I don't necessarily see yet, in that, what I see a little bit, but they see even further than me, which is, wait a second, Baker Mayfield is our guy. Because these formalities that we just kind of scoff at, they not always formal, big dog.
Oh, boy, stop. Okay, formalities are formal, whatever the hell we going to get into. I love it. Because you were talking about opening the door and pulling out the chair. Yeah, chivalry, right?
Yes, sir.
I remember the first time, I don't know how old I was. See, I'm a different thinker, and I like it. And, I remember seeing my daddy do that to my mama. You know what I'm saying? Open the door, and then, pull the door and pull the chair. I was like, Dad. Then I started watching his eyes. He opened the door, and he's like, your mama fine. I was like, Daddy, are you being polite to mama? Or are you really checking my mama out? Oh, that's how I got here. So the point of it is, it's not always well-intended that you do something formal. Just try to point that out. Y'all gonna catch that later. Here's the thing, big dog. Baker Mayfield got 2 years. 2 years. How many? 2 or deuces. 2 deuces. That's it. Peace. Get up out of here, Baker Mayfield. All on you. He's on sale right now. And you over here acting like this was on their Christmas list. Like, Mom, Dad, when you have kids, you're going to hear this. Mom, Dad, my son talks about Christmas already. December, and we're right now in April. My son's like, I want this for Christmas. I want this for Christmas. Baker's on sale. So when you go on to get what you really want, Denzel Ward, fifth-year option for real, you got to pick that up. That boy a beast. You look around and you see Baker Mayfield on sale, $18 million. You're like, Thursday night, midnight, Friday morning. All right, we pick up Baker Mayfield. Meanwhile, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they on that shelf you can't reach. And that's what they're doing right now. I love the opportunity that's presented to Baker Mayfield, but I'm not going to let you cook the books in the resume and make it seem like he's earned all of it.
I'm not going to cook them. What I'm going to say is this. Kevin Stefanski, 11 wins in 1 year, more than each of the Browns head coaches during their last 7 head coaches' entire tenures.
That's sick.
Like, Kevin Stefanski's 11 wins in 1 year, big dog.
Oh,
so I think it's this. We can't sit here and scoff at the success that Baker Mayfield's having in Cleveland. We've talked about this before. I got to bring it back again.
We're doing this.
We have to. Here's why we have to.
Okay.
Because you are trying to compare the kid that's in the school in the projects to the kid that was at the school I went to, St. Mark's, where you wear a uniform and it's college preparatory and you're supposed to be a national merit scholar. You can't compare, them two cats, and that's what you're doing. Baker Mayfield is in Cleveland Browns. He at the school in the projects. You comparing him to Lamar Jackson, who went to an organization that was in the Super Bowl 6 years prior, won a Super Bowl 6 years prior. You're comparing
What about
him
the year he
to Lamar Jackson,
They were losing.
who was in an organization that has proved historical competency. The Browns, the Ravens have won 2 Super Bowls since the Browns had last gone to the playoffs.
Right.
So you can't compare Baker Mayfield and his educational prowess, his athletic prowess, in the Browns to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Dare I say, you really shouldn't even compare it to your Bills and Josh Allen. Because even they went to the playoffs. You got to remind me.
Since
but Tyrod
99.
Taylor in like 2017. So you can't compare my dog Baker and his achievements in the projects, big dog, to the kids in private school wearing uniform. You know what I'm saying? Where the teacher to student ratio is 7 to 1. You're not right. You're not right for doing all that.
Okay, I'll walk with you there. Okay, Run with you there? I'm already sweating. I ain't running no more. He's at a bad school. Cleveland Browns, historically bad. Yes. But we got to keep standards. If you don't want to keep them level, at least keep them above board. He can't be a valedictorian at a bad school with a 2.1 GPA. That's just not going to happen, but that's what you want to do. Dog, listen to this GPA. Worst completion percentage. Worse than Case Keenum. Worse than Cal Allen. Fewer yards per attempt than Nick Mullins. Nick, you know how we feel about Nick Mullins. Only Jared Goff has more giveaways, I should say, than Baker in 2018. It's okay. It's a bad school. I get it. But even from bad schools, guys go to Harvard, Columbia, et cetera. One-offs. But you can't be valedictorian with a 2.1.
But here's the kicker,
and that's what Baker Mayfield looks like.
Here is the difference, and I'm glad we're here, and I'm glad y'all here with us.
Okay.
Because the difference is this. You can still be valedictorian at your school. Baker Mayfield may pale in comparison to what Lamar Jackson has done with the Ravens. But Lamar Jackson went to an organization that already had a defense that was on point, a head coach that has won a Super Bowl, a head coach that had been there for years. He had a general manager that was competent
and retiring.
And put talent around him instantly and eminently.
And they were sorry,
and you sitting here trying to compare Baker to... No, do this, y'all. Please, do this.
Some of these ribs.
Compare Baker Mayfield to everyone who came before him. Compare Baker Mayfield to Johnny Manziel. Compare Baker Mayfield to Brandon Weeden. Compare Baker Mayfield to Brady Quinn. Compare Baker Mayfield to my dog, Colt McCoy. Compare Baker Mayfield to Tim Couch. Compare Baker Mayfield to Robert Griffin and all the quarterbacks in between. And you'll be like, dang. This is the smartest student that's walked through here since 1988. We've never seen a quarterback this competent. We've never seen anyone this smart. Stop trying to leave the other school and be like, oh, what they got going on over there? That's a nice little fancy school. Look at what Baker Mayfield has done in Cleveland compared to what everybody has done in Cleveland. He's the greatest to walk through the school in 30 years, Sal. The greatest.
Yeah, he's the smartest kid at the dumbest school. So good for you. But you know what? We're going to have to give you a standardized test before you get into my university. And here's the standardized test. Oh, Baker Mayfield, since you've been a quarterback in the NFL, why are you 33rd ranked in completion percentage? Ooh, that's a bad SAT. Oh, Baker Mayfield, why is your passer rating 27th? Oh, you ain't getting into Columbia. Maybe Texas. Let's go here. Oh, Baker Mayfield, why is your win percentage even 18th? Baker, it's okay. Wear your little valedictorian medal ring, whatever they give them guys at these bad schools. But guess what? Not good enough. Not cutting it on the NFL complete level. Coming up, Anthony Davis came back, but the Lakers still lost. We'll tell you if LA should be nervous about the play-in tournament. It's coming. But first, Tom Brady is clearly not a fan of the NFL changing the uniform number rule. We'll tell you if he's overreacting. That's next on Speak for Yourself.
Tom Brady is coming off his 7th Super Bowl win, so he should be happy, but not so fast. The NFL passed the expanded jersey number rule earlier this week, which will allow some players, including defensive backs, linebackers, to wear numbers in the single digits. Well, Tom Brady is definitely not a fan of the new rule. The GOAT posted, good luck trying to block the right people now. Gonna make for a lot of bad football. But he wasn't done. Posting a screenshot of the rule change. Why not let the linemen wear whatever they want to? Why have the numbers? Just have color jerseys. Why not wear the same number? Dumb. Dumb. Added a couple extra dumb. I don't know if you wanted to.
Dumb.
So, Sal, is Tom Brady overreacting to the new number rule change?
No, he's not overreacting. And thank you, Tom Brady, the GOAT, for thinking of little old me and us linemen out there in the world, you know, in the trenches, the hogs of us. Now, he was saying this tongue-in-cheek, I'm assuming. It just read that way. But selfishly speaking, of course, this had more hype than impact. I'm sitting there like, I was pumped. You ever light up one of those firecrackers and you're like, and they go, you're like, oh, man. My homeboy had a van, let me just say that. Some TJ sticks, they call them M80s or M100s. Woo-hoo. Boom. That's what I expected out of this. Boom. Let the linemen wear what they want to wear. Hey, Wiley, if you were still playing, you could wear number 3. Stuff like that. Because the NFL right now lost a lot of excitement, energy, revenue, and also production. People didn't even think about this. 1984, when the NFL allowed linebackers to wear jersey numbers in the 90s, you know what happened? Sacks went up by 98. Damn! 2010, when they allowed the defensive linemen to wear the numbers in the 50s. Ugly numbers, but still, it's in the 50s. Sacks went up by 29. Now, there are other numbers that happened and the numbers went down, but I'm not going to bring that up because that doesn't help my argument. My argument is this. Don't be the no-fun league NFL right now. Open it up. Open season, trial season. Wear whatever you want to wear. One, all of the jersey companies out there, whether it's just Nike or just anybody selling memorabilia, is like, yes, because I already have the 99 J.J. Watt. Now I can get the number 9 J.J. Watt, and then he has to go back to whatever rules you want to go with going forward. The point is, They missed the moment, and Tom Brady pointed it out.
So you think Tom Brady's main aggravation or frustration is coming from, like, the fact that offensive linemen don't get the luxury of the change?
Yeah, I think he really is sitting there saying, this is not for all, so why'd you even do it?
Okay, fair. So I was thinking myself, Sel, you know me, I'm trying to figure out what are the other issues here at play for Tom Brady. And I realized I don't know if it's just the fact that his offensive linemen, they don't get an opportunity to wear whatever number they want to wear, but I think it might confuse Tom Brady. Because if you're a quarterback, remember as a QB, you got to set your front. You know this. You play defensive end.
Yeah.
You got to figure out where is the extra rusher coming from.
Mike 51.
Bingo.
Yeah.
You got to figure out where the extra rusher's coming from. And when there are different jersey numbers, it will confuse you. My experience is my expertise. Played Mike linebacker. So as the quarterback of the defense, I'm going to show y'all why I might be confused with the jersey number change and how it could lead to an issue.
Really?
Let's go to the big board.
Are you serious?
I think Tom Brady might be mad, Sel, to your point, at the discrimination against offensive linemen, but he might be mad at the confusion. So I'm a linebacker. Y'all are going to be the linebackers here. You all are going to be Jalen Smith, the linebacker for the Cowboys who was wearing the high white socks. Y'all gonna be Jalen, and it's gonna come back in a second. Now, if you're Jalen Smith, you have to tell your outside backers where you are rushing from. You have one outside backer, you got a nickel back. They have to be on opposite sides of the formation. In the picture behind me, your outside backer is Aldon Smith. Y'all stay on the screen. Your nickel back is highlighted at the top. An outside backer and a nickel back always have to be on opposite sides of the formation. You're the Mike linebacker. You're Jalen Smith. You are making the call. You said, hey, rock. All that means is, hey, right outside linebacker, you are rushing. You are the fourth rusher. Aldon Smith, you are rushing. Y'all stay on the screen with me. Now, because Aldon Smith is rushing, I, Jalen Smith, am guarding Dan Arnold, the tight end. And at the top, my nickelback is guarding Larry Fitzgerald. Very simple. Like bodies on like bodies. Linebackers covering tight ends, nickelbacks covering receivers. Let's move the screen. Because if I'm now changing and I'm guarding a tight end, I can do that. I just showed y'all. Jalen Smith is guarding Dan Arnold. Aldon Smith is blitzing. At the top, Larry Fitzgerald is on Jordan Lewis. That's easy. But what happens if I don't know who the tight end is because he's wearing a different jersey number? What happens if all of a sudden Dan Arnold, who is number 85, comes out in something that I can't recognize? Let's move the screen. Because if he comes out in a jersey number that I can't identify, then I, as Jalen Smith, don't know which way to designate the fourth rusher. Remember I told y'all Dan Arnold is number 85, but say this season he comes out wearing number 12. So now at number 12, I don't know what position he plays. Is he a tight end or is he a wide receiver? So if now I'm Jalen Smith and instead of calling my fourth rusher this way, I call my fourth rusher up top where Jordan Lewis was. Now I, Jalen Smith, would end up guarding Larry Fitzgerald and my nickelback would end up guarding a tight end in Dan Arnold. So I understand why the number switch might be an issue beyond just simply the discriminatory aspect of it all, but it might start to confuse defensive quarterbacks, which are the linebackers, and offensive quarterbacks, which are simply the quarterbacks.
Oh, man. So we talking discrimination and production issues right there. One, I just want to say I'm glad I ain't play linebacker. What the hell are y'all doing before the play?
Everything.
What is
Everything.
that?
So look, I tried to break it down simply. And again, for y'all NFL former players that watch this, understand I tried to simplify that for my guys, my gals, the viewers. But Sel, as a quarterback of the offense or quarterback of the defense, you always have to designate who your fourth rusher is.
Yes.
Right? And so you're my defensive end, you're my outside linebacker, so you and I can talk in this manner. If I see my tight end on the right side, I'm saying, hey, Marcellus, you're rushing. So if you're rushing, I, the linebacker on the right side, am guarding the tight end.
Yeah.
But if I don't know who the tight end is, and I say, hey, Marcellus, rush from the left, and Larry Fitzgerald is now on the right, I now have to guard Larry Fitzgerald. And the only reason I would be confused is because as a linebacker, 80 number, they likely a tight end. But all of a sudden, you come out in a 12, an 11, a 9, I don't know if he's a tight end. I don't know if he's a wide receiver. You got your coach in your head. Acho, make the call. Acho, make the call. Safety's yelling at you. Marcellus is making at you. Acho, which way am I going? What you want me to do? And all of a sudden, the system can't process. So I do think Tom Brady is mad, to your point. But what if now he's confused? Because he doesn't know, is that number 9 an outside linebacker? Or is that number 9 a safety? I don't know which way to turn my offense.
You know, I hear that, and fans are texting me right now. They don't even have my number, but they text me right now. I can hear the pushback. Hey, if you just know who the player is and know who his number is, then you know who in the hell he is in position, right?
Great.
So hold on. You trying to skate around doing some extra work, Mr. Linebacker.
So peep this.
Okay.
Because we was talking to the producers, and this actually is a very enlightening conversation.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I know who the third wide receiver is. But the third wide receiver also has to play special teams because he's third on the depth chart. So say he runs down on kickoff and pulls his hamstring. I don't know who the fourth wide receiver is. And I also don't know who the second tight end is. Also, y'all like, wait, but tight ends are bigger than wide receivers. Are they? Because Kyle Pitts, supposed to be a top 10 wide receiver. We're going to talk about him later. He looks like a wide receiver. We know the name Mike Evans, but if we didn't know Mike Evans is 6'5", 240, he looks like a tight end. So all of a sudden, it's complicated. It's confusing. Because, yeah, I know the depth chart. I know the starters. I know CeeDee Lamb. I know Michael Gallup. I know Blake Jarwin. I don't know Dalton Schultz. You know what I'm like? I don't know the backups. Same thing with you. Like, you know, we about to talk, y'all.
I see.
You know your right defensive end. You know your left tackle's go-to move. You know, it's like, you know if he's either going to short set you, which just means he's going to try to attack you now, or if he's going to deep set you. But you don't necessarily know the backup left tackle's go-to moves.
Well,
or did you?
I mean, I did. But, you know, I'm different. But, well, you know what's interesting about that? Let's be real. You study what's most important in priority. There's only so much time in the day, and then also you got to go with the probability. Like, you give the backup a notice. Like, I got to read over the synopsis of him. But in terms of film study, the first guy's getting all of it. And then if you get the backup, first guy gets hurt, whatever, all you start to lean on is, he might be sorry. So then, therefore, I'm going to give him all I got. And then if you realize, he ain't sorry, he just didn't have an opportunity, he's actually good, then you're going to struggle probably in those games and situations. You don't study 53 guys.
Correct.
To your point.
You don't. And you make a good point, right? I would assume that you were smarter than most of the other NFL players just based upon how much you care about education. Say now all of a sudden, they moved the guard out to tackle.
I ain't talking to you.
For sure didn't study the guard, right?
Like, all right, I'm done. Because one, he's short, stumpy, fire hydrant. He going to be all up under me. I'm like, this little fat little dude. So, yeah, it's going to be a problem. Tremendous points made right here. And it's so funny in the acreage of football. Like, I'm a defensive lineman. I remember when it clicked for me, I need to learn other positions around me, the defensive tackle. I need to know where the blitzes are coming from. There were so many easy sacks. If I just stood still and let y'all do all the work over there and cause commotion because the running back or quarterback was coming right to me. But to your point, the onus is on us as well to know all of those complexities if you really want to advance your game.
Because this is what I don't think, like, y'all at home so often, how'd this guy get beat? What happened here? I know the starting tight ends move. For example, if we talking Zach Ertz, when I was in Philly, Zach Ertz was in Philly. I know Zach Ertz is going to lean on me on the inside, give me a slight forearm nudge so the ref don't see it, and then he's going to break outside. But the backup tight end, Trey Burton, completely different game. Trey Burton ain't doing none of that. He don't even want you to touch him. He's just going to give you a head fake and go the other way. It's the same thing with these jersey numbers. I understand based off jersey number what is likely to occur. But as soon as you throw a little wrinkle into the matrix, everything starts to change. Tom Brady, I feel you on that one. Coming up, New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh is feeling no pressure with the rookie quarterback. We'll tell you if we like his comments next on Speak for Yourself.
Oh, love that. Sunday on Fox, NASCAR Cup Series head to Talladega Superspeedway for the Geico 500. High-speed action starts Sunday at 2 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Vroom, vroom. And speaking of NASCAR, the Fox Bet Super 6 app is giving you a chance to win Clint Boyer's brand new Camping World RV and $25,000 this Sunday during the Geico 500 Cup Series race at Talladega. Just download the app for free and pick 6 race outcomes in stage 2 for your shot to win. Now let's head to the Big Apple, New York City. Well, Robert Saleh already has a lot on his shoulders as a first-year head coach. But adding to that, his Jets have the second pick in the draft and are expected to pick quarterback Zach Wilson. Sam Darnold is gone, but Saleh said, quote, "There's no pressure on me on the thought of building around a rookie quarterback." So, Acho, you like Robert Saleh saying he doesn't feel pressure to build around a quarterback?
I don't like that at all, Sal.
You don't?
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. And Jets fans, I can only imagine that y'all are starting to have a little bit of PTSD right now, hearing a defensive-minded head coach come in and not instantly prioritize the quarterback position. The Jets have recently had a head coach who's a phenomenal defensive mind, Todd Bowles. Just won the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because of their defense, which Todd Bowles led. The Jets hired Todd Bowles when he was a phenomenal defensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals. Todd Bowles coached my brother. I know that defense. I know Todd Bowles. Phenomenal DC, goes to the Jets. Why didn't he succeed? Amongst other reasons, did not figure out the quarterback position. You go from Ryan Fitzpatrick to Josh McCown to Sam Darnold with no help and not a competent offensive staff around him. So Todd Bowles, although a brilliant defensive mind, did not succeed in New York because he didn't figure out the quarterback position. So if I'm Jets fans, the only thing I want to hear from my head coach, who is a brilliant defensive mind, is everything that has to do with focusing on the seriousness of the matter, which is quarterback. Brilliant defensive minds don't succeed because they don't handle quarterback. Vic Fangio, #1 defense with the Chicago Bears, 2018. That's when they got Khalil Mack, remember. He goes on to become the head coach of the Denver Broncos. They struggling. Why? Because they haven't figured out the quarterback position. When you figure out the quarterback position as a defensive coordinator, you thrive. But you better figure it out, and you better figure it out soon.
Well, I think this is an amazing move by Robert Saleh, at least in mindset, because he understands where he is. When you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. When you're a Jets coach, do what the Jets coaches did when they were a good squad. Remember when they went back-to-back to AFC Championship games? They had a quarterback by the name of Mark Sanchez, rookie quarterback, right? Did they build around him? No. He walked into a situation that was built for him. Think about it. And that was a defense that was ranked #1 and #3. AFC Championship game, AFC Championship game. We're talking about a defensive coordinator now in his first year as a head coach who has seen top 5 total defenses the last 2 years when he was a coordinator. So what he's trying to do is really duplicate what they did when they were good as the New York Jets football organization. Let's just build around them. We're not going to go get a top 5 quarterback because the fate of coaches that get top 5 quarterbacks is nothing to smile at right now. Since 2010, there have been 12 coaches, a dozen coaches to select a top 5 quarterback and have at least 3 years to see the results. Half of those coaches did not even survive year 2 after taking the quarterback. 8 of the 12 coaches didn't even make it to year 3. And we're talking about some good coaches here. Let's talk about Ken Wisenhunt when he got Marcus Mariota. Didn't work. Jeff Fisher with Jared Goff. Didn't last. Hugh Jackson with Baker Mayfield. Got to go, Hugh. Lovie Smith with Jameis Winston. Bye-bye. John Fox with Mitch Trubisky. They messed that all up. Todd Bowles with Sam Darnold, as you mentioned. Mike Shanahan with RG3. You know that. Spagnuolo with Sam Bradford. These top 5 quarterbacks come with these crazy expectations. And then these coaches are sitting there like, I'm not a horrible coach. This is just a horrible situation. We use all our assets pretty much in going to the top 5 when we could address other needs that supports quarterbacks in that position. Ask Mark Sanchez.
I'm going to ask you quickly to hold on to that list because I'm going to come back to it. I'm not here to disagree with you. I'm here to further this point.
I love it.
Offensive minds, Sel, they can survive. Offensive-minded head coaches survive because of their offensive mind.
Okay.
Defensive-minded head coaches historically only survive because of Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Mike Tomlin, defensive-minded head coach, Hall of Fame quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. Bill Belichick, defensive-minded head coach, Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady. Pete Carroll, defensive-minded head coach, Hall of Fame quarterback Russell Wilson. Defensive-minded head coaches survive based off their Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Tony Dungy, defensive-minded head coach, Hall of Fame quarterback Peyton Manning. Offensive-minded head coaches, they survive because of their offensive minds. Jared Goff, Sean McVay. Jared Goff ain't no world beater now. He has Sean McVay. Doug Peterson, offensive-minded head coach. He had a combination of Nick Foles and Carson Wentz. Nick Foles and Carson Wentz, they my guys, they're brothers to me, but, I mean, they ain't no world beaters, at least not of late. But Doug Peterson, offensive mind. Andy Reid, he never won the Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb, but he went to Super Bowls with Donovan McNabb. Yeah. Not necessarily a world beater, although Donovan McNabb was a dude.
He was a dude.
But offensive-minded head coaches survive based on their offensive minds. Defensive-minded head coaches survive based on Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So Robert Saleh, I think, needs to survive based off putting all his eggs into developing and prioritizing his quarterback. The reason I bring up that list is because off the top of my head, as you were going, I was like, wait a second. Spagnuolo is a defensive-minded head coach. What was the name partnered with him?
Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford. All these, like, all the names you said, I was like, wait a second. A lot of these were defensive-minded head coaches, and they didn't necessarily have the quarterback. So I think that serves your point, but it also serves a point of, hey, now, if you're a defensive-minded head coach, you better pay attention to this quarterback position because you're not going to survive based off your defensive mind. You're going to survive based off how great your quarterback is.
Well, to your point, Shanahan disagrees because he's an offensive-minded coach. I mean, tremendous, and didn't work out with RG3. To my point, Bill Belichick disagrees with you because he's like, give me pick 199 and I could do something. I'm a defensive-minded coach. Obviously, we know now Tom Brady's the GOAT. This is interesting, though. You got to go to a great situation. For any rookie quarterback, they don't want to say this outwardly, but they're thinking, I need to go somewhere with a running game, somewhere with a defense, because I need to adjust to the transition of the NFL level. So when you think about that, let's listen to these situations. Dak Prescott. We always talk about how the year before Dak Prescott was drafted, they were 4-12, right? Not a high pick either. But they went 13-3, and everybody's like, Dak. Yeah, but y'all forget they had the number 2 rushing offense, the number 5 scoring defense. So that's a great situation. And he's not a top 5 pick. Russell Wilson, another guy, not a top 5 pick. 7-8 the year before. 11-5. Make the playoffs, Russell Wilson. Good job, Russell Wilson. Did y'all remember? Number 3 rushing offense, number 1 scoring defense. Okay, good situation. Andrew Luck, this is an interesting one because everyone thought the Colts were sorry. Nah, Peyton Manning was hurt, and they went 2-14. Next year, 11-5 because they basically had that squad. But they had made the playoffs 9 of the previous 10 seasons. RG3, bring it up again. 5-11 before RG3. Now, that's a top pick. Went 10-6, won the NFC East in his rookie season. But they also had the number 1 rushing offense, which he contributed to because of his legs. Last one is Ben Roethlisberger, you brought up. Steelers were 6-10 the year before Ben got there. 15-1, best record in the NFL rookie season. Number 2 rushing offense, number 1 scoring defense. Robert Saleh's like, look, I'm reading y'all history books. Not only the New York Jets history books of when Mark Sanchez was picked, you better have everything else around him. It's almost like bringing the main course after you have already supplied all that you need necessary on the table. I'm not just talking about condiments. I'm not just talking about appetizers. I'm not just talking about utensils. Everything, pots and pans. Then you can drop a number 5 pick in that situation or a top 5 pick. If not, he's going to be set up to fail.
Yeah, you really need both. Like, let's be real. Like, you really need both.
But which one first in priority? That's what Saleh's facing. Well, chicken and egg.
First in priority for me is, if I'm a defensive-minded head coach, I got to make sure my quarterback and my offensive coordinator are on point.
Yeah.
The final 8 coaches in the NFL last year as far as in the playoffs, right? So the final 8 coaches that were remaining, 6 were offensive minds. 1 was a special teams mind in John Harbaugh, and 1 was Sean McDermott. But remember, Sean McDermott, his second year gets Brian Daboll, University of Alabama, phenomenal offensive mind, helps develop Josh Allen, and now because you have Josh Allen, who is playing like a beast, plus you have a phenomenal mind as your OC, y'all are hanging with a group filled with offensive coordinators. The reason DCs don't make it very far, defensive coordinators make it very far in the NFL, they don't realize the quarterback position is incredibly important. You don't know how to empathize with that position because you never played that position. You were always trying to attack quarterbacks. So all of a sudden, you got your quarterbacks in live drills in practice because you don't realize, wait a second, that is the most important position on the field. If you don't handle your QB, bro, as a defensive-minded head coach, I don't see a long fate for you.
Boy, that's funny you said that. The defensive coordinators turn head coach. They'd be like, hey, we're going to toughen up our quarterback. I'd be like, what do you mean? He pork chops today? Let's eat. All right, but be real. I don't agree with that. I think it's a good generalization, but I don't think it's specific enough. I think Robert Saleh is looking at guys who have succeeded as defensive coordinators or defensive minds. He's like, I'm doing that. Mark Sanchez, I bring it up again. They went to the AFC Championship game consecutive years, back to back. Mark Sanchez threw 12 touchdowns and 20 picks his first year, and then said, I'm going to improve. 17 touchdowns and 13 picks, which is an improvement, but that ain't AFC Championship leading numbers. You know what it is? That defense, that running game. Saleh's like, I'm going to do that. The number 2 pick the last 2 years have been what position? Defensive lineman. Chase Young last year, number 2 pick. You know that the Washington football team made the playoffs because they got a defensive lineman, not a quarterback. And then the 49ers the year before that, Nick Bosa, number 2 pick. They made the playoffs. Not because they went after a quarterback. So the thing is, I think Robert Saleh is really zigging when everyone else is zagging. It almost sounds like you're trying to please the fan base. Quarterback, quarterback, quarterback. But then Robert Saleh's like, but where's the success? Especially here as the Jets. It's looking around and addressing other needs, especially in recent history.
But don't you think going defense and all these other things and non-prioritizing quarterback, it'll get you close, but it won't necessarily get you over the hill? Because even your point, Mark Sanchez, who is my dog, like that's my close friend, so I can't even clown Sanchez. That's my
No, that's the people you do clown, the ones you're closest with. They can handle it.
He did clown me yesterday the other day. I hate him, but I love him.
Get him.
Nonetheless, they got close, but they didn't get over the hump.
Facts.
Like they was close 2 years in a row, but you wonder, maybe if you would have prioritized it a little bit more.
More than him? He was a top five pick.
Where
you want to go? Number one overall?
But do you think that Rex do enough to help develop him? Right? Like, because you know how big a defensive-minded Rex is.
I can't.
Like, Rex don't even care about offense, just when you hear him talk, when you hear sound bites. Maybe if you would have done a little bit more, been more focused on developing that, who knows just how far he could have went. I guess we'll see if it works out for the Jets. Coming up, Anthony Davis is back, but the Lakers still lost. We'll tell you if they should be nervous about the play-in tournament next on Speak for Yourself.
Anthony Davis was back in the Lakers lineup last night after missing over 2 months. But LA still lost to the Mavericks. AD only scored 4 points and was on a minutes restriction, so he sat out the second half. Lakers are still without LeBron James and are the 5th seed in the West. Take a look at the conference standings. LA is only 2.5 games away from the 7th seed, which will force them in the play-in tournament that was established back in the bubble days. So we're joined now by Fox NBA analyst Slick Rick the Bucher. But Acho, how nervous should your Lakers be about the play-in tournament?
Yo, you got to be nervous, and it's twofold. You have to be nervous about going to the play-in tournament, but then you also have to be nervous about who you may face in the play-in tournament and what those results might just be. The Lakers, as you look at it, 2.5 games up. So you might be chilling like Acho. 2.5 games up. It's only about 12 games left. But then if you really start looking at it, you're 2.5 games up over the Trailblazers, who you play on May 7th. So that's a 2-game swing. You're 2.5 games up over the Mavericks, who you play tonight. So that's a 2-game swing. So although it appears to be 2.5 games up, it's not a real 2.5 games. It's all dependent upon your opponents. And the opponents that matter the most, the Lakers still have to play before the season ends. That's the first reason I'm nervous. But then once you're in the play-in games, like, yeah, but Acho, the Lakers are talented, so even if they have to play a 8, 9, 10 seed, they all right. Until you realize what happens if they have to play the Mavericks. Because Luka can go for 50, hit a buzzer beater on a moment's notice. Wow. Steph Curry can go for 50, at least 40 on a moment's notice. The Grizzlies are young and hungry. So I'm nervous for twofold. One, they might get stuck in a play-in game. But then more importantly, if you go to a play-in game, who might you have to play? And you're going to have to play a team that might not be dangerous, but boy, they got some dangerous players.
Acho, I'm going to assume that your life is just going so well, you got to find something to worry about. You got to find something to get nervous about. Yes. Because the Lakers, crisis averted. They have nothing to worry about. For them to fall into a play-in game, they have to be leapfrogged by both the Blazers and the Mavs. And when we were talking about this 2 weeks ago, the Mavs and the Blazers were rolling. And I was thinking, yeah, they got something to worry about. But at this point, the Blazers are 3-8 over their last 11 games. The Mavs are 5-6 over their last 11 games. And yes, the Lakers have been 5-6, but they've been holding serve. So I look going forward. You're right. They play the Mavs Saturday. They play them again. They may lose that, but widen your view a little bit. Look beyond that, because then they play the Magic, the Kings, the Wizards, and the Raptors. All losing teams, some of whom don't have anything to play for at this point. They're not getting into the playoffs. More important, in the last couple of weeks, they've beaten 3 of those 4 teams without AD, without LeBron. Now, if this was about they needed AD in order to save themselves from the play-in, then I'd say, you know what? There's reason to be nervous, because he can say he's 100%. He can say he didn't think about it. I saw a guy who was measuring his steps in that game. I don't know how quickly he's going to get back to full form, but that's not the circumstance. They've won without him to this point. beating the teams that they need to beat in order to stay where they are.
Yeah, man, look. I'm not nervous. I'm not the nervous type either, but I'm not nervous for the Lakers to find themselves in the play-in situation. Now, you don't want to find yourself in the play-in situation because Acho just said you're playing with fire, and either it could warm you or it could burn you. And I think the Lakers are going to play themselves out of that circumstance. Up 2.5, and you only got 12 to go. A lot has to work wrong for you guys, for the Lakers to find themselves in that position. But as Kevin Garnett said one day, wrongly, anything is possible. So look at this situation. If the Lakers are creeping towards the play-in game, like I've been telling you guys, LeBron James and his load managing right now would change that schedule of return. Trust me. And would say, oh, you know what? I'm feeling a lot better right now to make sure we're not going to be in that situation. Activate playoff sicko mode. And that's who LeBron James would be. Come back to save the day. LeBron James has been more clutch in elimination games going in his career. He's 14-10 overall, but since 2012, 12-4 in those playoff elimination games, which is a pseudo bubble play-in game. So I'm looking at the Lakers like they're not even going to put themselves in this position. But if they were put in this position for whatever circumstance, they still have an AD who's going to work himself into shape. And LeBron James, who, trust me, will come back and save the day for these Lakers.
But wouldn't you say, Selvit, that in and of itself is worry? Because if you're worried about the play-in games, if you're worried about avoiding the play-in games, and you're insinuating LeBron might rush back either from load management or rush back from a legitimized injury, then that will expedite being re-injured. You saw what happened with James Harden. Furthermore, we saw what happened with Kevin Durant in the NBA Finals. If we're worried about the play-in games, then Anthony Davis may no longer be on a 15-minute restriction. Maybe they'll bump that up to 25. Like, let's make sure we win. And in efforts to avoid the play-in games, because you're worried about the play-in games, now you risk re-injuring your superstars before the actual playoffs. I think in the back of their heads, they are cognizant of they don't want to play in the play-in games. In the back of their heads, the Lakers and Lakers management are cognizant of like, hey, we have to avoid that. We're only 2.5 games up. So what are you going to do to avoid that? We literally just saw James Harden get hurt again in practice, his hamstring. Now he might make it back in time before the playoffs. If LeBron or AD do have to rush back or extend minutes because of their fear of the play-in games, that in and of itself is enough worry.
Now that I agree with, E. If they need LeBron and AD in order to avoid getting in the play-in game, now that's a completely different situation because they can't just roll up onto the postseason. But that's not where I see them right now. Again, they've been playing below 500. But everybody else that could leapfrog them has been doing the same thing. I just don't need them to get there. And Marcellus, I don't know what you're talking about in terms of a play-in game, not being nervous about that. You got your entire postseason riding on one game, one night. And if I'm not mistaken, last year in the bubble, did they not lose the first game in their first 2 rounds? Didn't they do that?
Yeah.
Wasn't that and are you suggesting that with all the marbles now, they're not going to allow that to fall down? We just got out of the NCAA tournament where we saw Ohio State, we saw Gonzaga, we saw any number of great teams who just didn't have it that particular night because of a matchup. If I'm the Lakers, I do not want to face that prospect while I'm still trying to get my chemistry back together, no matter what we've accomplished in the past.
Yeah, but the consequences aren't the same in a series when you lose the first game because you know you have game 2, game 3, game 4 at least. So the Lakers didn't come out with that urgency. And they didn't come out with the urgency when they started in the bubble. Remember, they struggled in the last regular season bubble games, and then all of a sudden they activated and won those series 4-1, 4-1, 4-2. I'm not worried. Look, there's always that ounce of concern that I'm not going to emphasize when you're going against any competition because on any given Sunday in my sport...
Oh, wait. So there is a little bit of worry in there. You're just not activating it.
Well, no, well, LeBron's not activating his either. But, no, it's not nervous because nervous to me is more than what is already a part of you, what is already in potential. It's something that's accentuated, something that is greater than the normal, I got to respect my opponent. Y'all talking about a little more of a fear
Are
element.
you following this?
Yeah. It's not, look, when I play against you, In boxing, Logan Paul gonna go against Floyd Mayweather. We're gonna talk about that again. You got a puncher's chance. Are you nervous if you're Floyd? No, but he has a puncher's chance. He could catch you. In a playing game, they could catch you. But are you nervous? No. Now, you following that, Slick? Thank you. And you know why I'm not also nervous? Lakers are 8-3 this season against the teams currently right now in the playing spots. Now, that's not perfect, but guess what? That gives you even more confidence than not. And that's LeBron James coming back. Y'all the nervous type. I ain't got no fear like that.
Here's the thing, though, big dog. Because, Slick, it's almost like if you was to play roulette, but not the roulette in the casinos, like Russian roulette. It's like, I mean, what are the chances that this one will actually have a bullet in it? Like, I mean, if there are 11 and there's only 3 in the chamber, like, I mean, so there's a 8. I'm likely not to die. I'm likely to die. I'm still not trying to take that spin.
I'm only nervous in that one because I know the consequences. If I lose this game, it's a wrap for the season.
Think about the consequences. Think about the consequences for LeBron. To us sitting at this desk, not a big deal.
For the champion?
But LeBron James to not even go to the playoffs, like that is death of
his first year. Like his first year, like he already got shot.
I'm saying that's death of the GOAT conversation. It
wasn't the death of the GOAT conversation when he lost the first year in the Lakers.
Yeah, but he wasn't 35.
Oh, that was age appropriate. Look,
it has to be.
Look, I'm respecting my opponent. I'm just not fearing my opponent, or I'm not fearing the circumstance because I think I have the better team. And when healthy, these other teams can't see us in the play-in games. But Slick, you disagree with that?
Well, now, what if Floyd is fighting Jake and there's only one round?
Well, it's Logan.
He's not
going
to be nervous?
It's Logan this time.
I mean,
would I be
Logan,
nervous?
excuse me.
No. I mean, he can get caught, but that doesn't mean you got to walk in nervous. Like, isn't there a difference? Like, you have to be nervous just to say that I could get caught? Or you be like, I'm fine. Oh, he caught me. Y'all don't understand the difference.
You gotta be concerned.
No.
It's semantics at this point.
Okay, you can say that.
You're saying fighter's chance.
Nervous, concerned, worried.
Concerned, nervous. It's semantics.
Okay, let me give it to you this way. Since they're 8-3 against the playing teams, but they're 3-8 against the top 6 seeds, which is the teams you're going to see in the playoffs, should they be nervous about who they're going to see in the playoffs? You catch that? They have a losing record against the teams they're going to see if they even get into a play-in game or whatever happens in the playoffs. They have a worse record against the top 6 teams. But now y'all saying be nervous about the teams you have a better record
8-3 isn't even like, it's not even 80%, big dog.
No, it's not.
It's like 70%.
Yeah.
If you're a C student and you know you got to answer one question right and you only getting one question and you are a C student, I'd be nervous about that one question.
No, if my coach told me I got to run my fat butt 6-minute miles, right? And he said you got to run 10 of them, right? And if I've run 7 of them, I'm thinking I'm fine. I'm not nervous. 70%, it depends how you look at 70%. In class, you probably an average student. But if something you can do 7 out of 10 times, don't you feel a little confident? No? Coming up, Jerry Jones has visits. I caught you with that one. Sugar Plums with tight end Kyle Pitts. I can do it more than I can't. We'll tell you if the rookie will make the Cowboys the best offense in the NFL. That's next. Don't speak for yourself.
Jerry Jones is reportedly infatuated with former Florida tight end Kyle Pitts. So, it's no surprise he's expected to be drafted in the top 10 next week. The Cowboys have the 10th pick, and they posted a virtual visit with Pitts, where Jones pictured a pairing with Dak Prescott that gave him a, quote, dream of visions of sugar plums around here.
Huh?
Sugar plums, huh? So, Marcellus, would Kyle Pitts make the Cowboys the best offense in the NFL?
Absolutely. One, they were the #1 offense when Dak Prescott was healthy last year, right? So how do you get better than #1? Add Kyle Pitts. Then you got the best offense. Dak stay healthy, and Kyle Pitts just do what Kyle Pitts does. Full disclosure, Dan Mullen, head coach of Florida football, was a coach at Columbia as well. Dog, we had the best coaching staff.
Y'all had coaches.
Chip Kelly, Dan Mullen. Must I continue? My man Joe White, respect for our coaching staff. So it wasn't the coaches. We didn't win because of us. It was just simply on the players. But anyway, so I did have a narrow focus on the Florida football program, watched him play a lot of football. I'm going to make a comparison because Antonio Gates was a rookie when I was in San Diego. And I remember first day of Antonio Gates, comes in with this basketball background, a little shifty, big hips, like, you know, as they used to say, big lower body. So you knew that he had the power, but he also had the shiftiness and was learning the game. He popped year 2. And you could see his athleticism from hello. A little deceptive as well because of his build. He is not Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is out of this world in terms of athleticism. It's silly to see how athletic he is. I played against Tony Gonzalez, they're great. These guys, Tony Gonzalez was a beast, basketball player, athlete as well. Kyle Pitts is different than that. So if you just talk about the base in which you can build upon, that's why Jerry Jones is talking about sugar plums and all this stuff. Because he is like, yo, I've seen some amazing tight ends, and even this guy looks different.
First off, let's do this. Kyle Pitts isn't making it to number 10. Like, he's not getting that far in the draft. The Falcons might mess around and take Kyle Pitts, I think, at the 4th spot. So Kyle Pitts ain't going to make it to 10. But if he did, I would go as far as to say talent-wise, they would be the most talented offense since the greatest show on turf. Talent-wise, as far as name. If you got Amari Cooper, who was the highest-paid wide receiver when he was paid, Ezekiel Elliott, who's the highest-paid running back when he was paid, Dak Prescott, who's the highest-paid quarterback when he was paid, plus Michael Gallup, who's gone for 1,000 yards, plus CeeDee Lamb, who went for 900 yards last year, second most among rookie receivers, plus the greatest tight end, even as far as ranking since Vernon Davis came out. That is an offense that should not be able to be stopped. They say you get what you paid for, and the Cowboys would have paid for exactly that, which would be the greatest offense since the greatest show on turf. But to your point, Sal, Zeke plus Gallup plus CD plus Amari, they were averaging 350 yards of total offense when Dak was playing, just those 4 cats. So now you take those 4 cats and you add a Kyle Pitts, there's just no way you will stop the Cowboys offense.
Really?
Let's bring in NFL analyst Bucky Brooks to get his take. So, Bucky, would Kyle Pitts make the Cowboys the best offense in the NFL?
I mean, this is an old Tupac song. How do you want it? That's what they're doing when they walk out. Like, how do you want this? Like, when you look at their offense, potentially with Kyle Pitts at tight end, man, you talk about him controlling the middle of the field like Travis Kelce for the Kansas City Chiefs. Then the 3 weapons around him, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, plus you got to deal with Ezekiel Elliott behind Dak Prescott. How do you deal with that? I mean, you're talking about not to defend the run because you don't have enough bodies to deal with everything in the passing game. This absolutely would be a nightmare for defensive coordinators around the league to have to defend. And I know people are going to say, yeah, but they need to fix the defense. Hey, man, when you're hanging 40 on them, you don't have to worry about the defense playing great. They just need to be okay. And because they can put so much pressure on the opposing team, you no longer can play balance if you're the opposition. Man, if I'm Jerry Jones, no wonder you have sugar plums dancing around your head because Kyle Pitts is a difference maker. He would take them one step closer to getting that Super Bowl title they desperately want.
Exactly. I mean, Dak in his last full healthy season, 4,900 passing yards, second in the NFL. Last year, even though it was a compromised season, averaging 431 yards per game. Before you can add a Kyle Pitts, woo, that's joystick controller, handed up video game. It's about to happen on the football field. Takes me back to when we used to play the Indianapolis Colts when they had squad. I mean, weapons and numbers. And our coordinators used to come out and we used to just look at the scoreboard, you know, and you come out and say Colts and say Bills and it's 0-0, clock at 15 minutes. And Coach like, that clock up there lying right now, I'm telling you right now, they got some points on the board. I don't know how much. They already got some points before they even step on the field. If he were a part of this lineup, trust me, every defense would know there are already points up on that scoreboard.
Yeah, I think we all know the answer, which is yes, he would make them great. But now let's dive into the why. Because the why is this. Bucky, you in the secondary, I'm at the linebacker position. If the Cowboys throw their offense out there with CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Blake Jarwin, and Amari Cooper, I'm instantly like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take Blake Jarwin. Bucky, you do your thing. You go ahead and guard CeeDee Lamb in the slot. We good. But now they bring Kyle Pitts on the field instead of Blake Jarwin. Now my option is I got to guard Kyle Pitts or I got to guard who? CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. Now it's a lose-lose, which means now you got to take Acho, a linebacker, off the field, and you got to bring in another Bucky Brooks. That's cool. But to Bucky's point, what happens now if they turn around and hand Zeke the ball? Now, Bucky got to mess around and tackle a 225-pound Ezekiel Elliott. Either way, that's to Bucky's point of how do you want it. So the what is simple. We all get that the Cowboys are going to have a ridiculous offense if they add Kyle Pitts. But the why is there's really no way to go right on defense. Usually there's one sorry offensive receiving threat, and the sorry coverage linebacker, will be like, oh, yeah, that's me. Give me a down off. When there ain't no sorry threats, can't put on no sorry players.
Yeah, I think this would be the thing. We can talk about the personnel. The one caveat would be, can Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy handle all of the weapons? Because neither one of them have had this much at their disposal. And so the trick would be, okay, we got Dak Prescott, we got Zeke Elliott, we have Amari Cooper and these other weapons. How do we keep everybody happy? It sounds great in theory. It is great on a video game. It's a lot different when you're trying to come up with a game plan where we only have maybe 70 plays in a game. How do I keep all of those mouths and people happy?
Crazy. First of all, I would just say, look at this lineup right here. I like our defense. Bucky up there in the secondary. You got that, all right. Well, whatever coverage you don't cover two, I don't give a damn. We got Acho over there in the linebacker position. Mike 51, Acho. And I'm the defensive lineman. Look, first of all, I don't care who y'all guard. Dak ain't getting the ball off if I'm rushing, baby. The young me, before I got hurt me, that's only like 3 games of me. But the point is, we've been here before, guys. When you see everywhere you look, there are just weapons. You know, I was in the league when the greatest show on turf was out there. Can't remember playing them. Maybe that's because I don't want to remember playing them because they probably waxed us. But the point is, when you see all those weapons, Bucky brings up an amazing point. Before we even have to defend them, we got to look at them for friendly fire because they all want the ball. They all sitting there in those coaches' meetings saying, it's on me, it's on me, on me. And we've seen this before in a game where it's mind over matter. So if all of a sudden you're feeling like you're not a part of the game plan like you should be, your mind starts to wander, not only in game, but also between games. You start to say, man, if I was somewhere else, I'm the number one. But over here, I'm number 3, number 4. I got 20 catches on the season, and it's week 15, stuff of that nature. So Tampa Bay figured it out with all their weapons. We'll see if the Dallas Cowboys could get Kyle Pitts and have a good problem on their hands. Coming up, Baker Mayfield's 5th-year option was picked up. But we'll tell you if the Browns added more pressure to their quarterback. That's next on Speak for Yourself. What show has a better defense than us? Come on. Let's head back to Cleveland. Boom, 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 boom. They've added several pieces on defense, including Jadeveon Clowney. All right. Prompting Myles Garrett to say the defense will be, quote, very scary. That rhymes. Now, in their latest move, they picked up Baker Mayfield's 5th-year option for nearly $19 million. But reports say they have not started talks on a long-term deal, and their general manager would not address it with the media today. Bucky is back with us, but Acho, have the Browns added more pressure to Baker this offseason?
Absolutely, and they've added more pressure because they've heightened the expectation. We've all been kind of trying to figure out, is Baker Mayfield good? Baker Mayfield not good? Baker Mayfield really good? I don't know if Baker Mayfield all that good. But as soon as the Browns confirmed that Baker Mayfield was at least good enough to commit to for one more year, now we all kind of like, yeah, okay, he good enough. He good enough. So that heightened the expectation of Baker Mayfield. And with heightened expectations comes more pressure. I love when Bucky's on because we can go full-fledged into track and field analogies. I love it. Nothing brings me more joy. Stick! It's real easy. It's real easy, wrong event, Sel. It's real easy to get over the bar, the high jump bar, if it's just at 5 feet.
Oh, Fosbury.
At 5'5". It's 6 foot. Some people can just scissor kick that. Scissor kicking just means you're not going over it traditionally. You're just going over it with your feet in a scissor kicking motion. But as soon as that high jump bar gets raised, like Baker Mayfield's expectations have been raised to, 6'5", 6'7", 6'8", all of a sudden, it's a whole lot more pressure, even psychologically and physiologically, because you understand you have to do more work to get over the raised bar. Baker Mayfield, at least, he might not admit it verbally, but psychologically and physiologically, he understands he has to do more work to get over the raised bar of expectation. So for that reason, there's a lot more pressure on Baker, because we've all been wondering, is Baker good? The Browns have officially told us he's good enough to commit to, so the bar is now raised. And Baker, you're going to feel it, because now you got to get over that bar.
And you feel it?
Oh, yeah, the pressure is real now. It's real on Baker Mayfield now, not because of what you're alluding to, Acho, because you're saying they committed to him. They didn't necessarily commit to him. They said, hey, we're going to date for a little bit, but we ain't really going to do this thing all the way up. Yeah. And so what they're doing is, hey, Baker, I need to make sure that you are what we think you are. We want to make sure that you're the player that we're projecting you to be. But before we give you this 35, 40 million plus, let's run this back a little bit and see if you can duplicate some of what you did last year. Because remember, last year, this really was driven by Nick Chubb, the running game, Kareem Hunt, and those guys. Baker Mayfield was just kind of like a side dish. He wasn't really the steak on the plate. We will soon see if he's the main entree or if he's destined just to be sweet potatoes the rest of the time.
Hey, don't put some marshmallows on those sweet potatoes, though. Marshmallows. Turn them into candy yams real quick.
Yam,
you turn them sweet potatoes into candy yams real quick. That might be enough of a meal now, Bucky Brooks.
You're gonna make me gain my weight back, boy. You talking all that candy yam, some nutmeg.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, boy. And that's what Baker Mayfield is, some nutmeg, basically. He's not even the candy yams. Y'all better stop with this. This is a situation where there's no more pressure on you, Baker Mayfield, by this deal. This deal was a formality. So how do you get higher expectations on a formality? You come at cheap prices. You come at a cheap money value. You're $18 million. Your average salary now is right between Taysom Hill and Teddy Bridgewater, which is either a fringe starter or really backup money. So, yeah, how you going to go in a situation and say, I feel the pressure, when I'm half off of real quarterbacks in this league right now? Think about that. So you get a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, you give him 2 years, because now he has this year, his 4th year, and you picked up his 5th year option. And we're not talking long term, like Bucky said, because we are not talking about marriage. We're not talking about engagement. We're not even talking about we're dating exclusively. All we're saying is here's a little room to prove who you are. And that's what this situation is. It's not a high pressure bar to clear. Think about it. If someone's like, all right, this was a high pressure bar, I will be hearing Lamar Jackson. I will be hearing Josh Allen right now already having their 5th year options picked up, because there's some pressure on those organizations to not only make sure that those guys are taken care of because they are franchise quarterbacks. They are boarding this airplane from the back to the front. They're boarding coach first on this one. Think about it. They're not doing it with Josh Allen. He in first class. They're not doing it with Lamar Jackson. He in first class. They're like, hey, Baker, come here, 38F. Yeah, we don't want all y'all up in the front of the plane and bogging it up so people can't get to the back. Baker Mayfield is on this plane first because of all the guys who are going to get their 5th year options. He's actually the worst.
Well, let's be real, first and foremost, because you said a lot here. Boarding a plane from the back to the front is the smartest way to board.
Smartest. I always say that.
I've ever been in a foreign country and they board back to the front. It's actually genius. Now you ain't got to walk by all these people and try to navigate through the aisles just to get to your seat. Like, boarding back through the front is the smartest way to board. So if that's what the Browns are doing, then maybe they are the smartest organization out play.
Oh, you going there? Oh, nice.
So we got to understand.
Yeah.
The Browns are at least taking Baker ring shopping. Okay, let's not act like they're so far away from full-time commitment. Bucky, sit up straight now, boy. They at least taking my dog ring shopping because they want to figure out, hey, Baker, what do you like? What you into, Baker? Let's at least know your styles, know your flavors, because you've done enough. You've done enough not for us to fully commit, but you've done enough to say, yes, we want to pick up this 5th year option. We want to show you that we're here for you with plans of the long term. We want to show you we're not afraid to add to your contract. We want to have you come in here, sit down, and let's start talking about this type of extension. You still got to prove some things, but we do want to commit to you long term. So I'm not going to act like they marrying Baker, but Sarah, we got to be real, big dog. They at least taking my guy Baker ring shopping. And with the ring shopping comes the pressure. Because you know this.
What?
After you go ring shopping, there's a little bit more pressure just to make sure things go smoothly.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more pressure just to act right. Like, as the dude, as the woman, it's a little bit more pressure just to make sure, like, hey, let's get to this aisle. We already shopping. We both know we want to get here, but let's get there. And there's a little more pressure that comes with that. Baker gonna feel that.
Nice.
Okay, y'all might be ring shopping, but what they did is they gave him a promise ring. They didn't give an engagement ring. They gave him that ring.
I'm not gonna play with you, man. I'm not gonna play with you.
Hey, babe, I'm gonna let you have my class ring or whatever, but make sure I get that back at the end of the semester. I'm gonna need that, so someone else is gonna have to have that. And so with Baker Mayfield, I understand it. He can walk around with the Letterman jacket on. He has a class ring hanging on the necklace and those things. He feels like he might be a Brown forever. Hey, but it's short term. We're still looking. We're still trying to figure out if you're really going to get that prom invite or not. And so Baker Mayfield may go to Winterfest, but I'm not convinced that he's going to be my date at the prom.
He going to Winter Wonderland with the class ring on the necklace. Oh, Oh, man, that is it. And Acho trying to bring up examples about ring shopping to a guy who's been engaged 1, 2, 3, 4 times like me, brother. They ain't all the same. Let me just say that, Acho. You know they sell rings at the Sloss and Swap meet, too. So guess what? Going ring shopping doesn't have the same ring everywhere. Let me just go there. And Acho, you told on yourself. You better start spending some of this Fox Oprah money. You talk about, I hate when I got to go to the back of the plane. Like, what you okay?
Why you ain't coaching anyway?
Hey, Acho, Baker at 38F, Acho at 38E. Hey, Baker, how's it going? I don't want to hear about that. All right, let me get my composure. Let me talk about this dude for real. There are no expectations higher when you get an obvi deal, they call it. Obvious deal. Like, this is low interest rates. This is why everybody's trying to buy up stuff everywhere right now, because it's cheap money. I've said it, and I'm going to keep saying it. I believe in Baker Mayfield in terms of talent. I just need to see consistency. And I also said you have to pick up his 5th-year option because it's just too damn cheap. So, Baker Mayfield, now you have the room to roam. They've given you enough leash to show what kind of dog you really are, because the dog pound is sitting there rooting for you, but you got to give them a reason for you to be the reason that they believe in.
Here's the thing, Sal. Baker really, we acted like he had expectations, but it was almost false hype. Y'all know morning workouts, 6 a.m. Let's go back to college.
Breakfast Club.
Wherever we was.
Breakfast Club.
Morning workouts, we'd be, hey, let's get it, fellas. Let's get it, fellas. Let's do this. But really inside, we're like, God, dog, I'm trying to be in bed right now. You got that false hype because you have to try to fake it until you make it.
Yes.
The Browns had false hype around Baker Mayfield when you draft him 1st overall. Like, yeah, he gonna come in and save the franchise. Even though we said the same thing about Manziel didn't happen. Ooh. Same thing about Brady Quinn didn't happen. Ooh. Same thing about Colt McCoy didn't happen. Same thing about Brandon Whedon didn't happen. Same thing about Tim Couch didn't happen. But nonetheless, you gotta fake it. You gotta fake it a little bit until you can make it. So Baker Mayfield strolls into Cleveland, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I really don't have that high of expectations, so there's not really any pressure because nobody's won before me, and we ain't won a playoff game since I was born, so ain't too much pressure. But now you just won 11 games, and now you won a playoff game, and now you picked up the extension. They picked up the extension. All of a sudden, that hype is turned into reality. Ain't nothing worse than when you give somebody something and then you got to take it back. Because when you give somebody something, they get used to it. You start eating good. Sal, first time I ever went to Vegas.
I'm listening.
I went with my friend, and her ex-husband, I guess, was one of the initial founding partners of the Cosmopolitan Hotel. And so the Cosmo. So, bro, I stay on like the 56th floor, limos everywhere, dumb room. Like, I didn't drive, I didn't take an Uber, everything was catered to me. I said, I can't go back to Vegas like no regular cat no more, because I've already gone, and I've gone at this height. The Browns are like, we can't go back to no Cleveland ways no more. Like, Baker, you've already taken us to the playoffs. We beat the Steelers twice in 3 weeks and won a playoff game. Please don't make us go back to our old ways of Cleveland anymore. And that is that same pressure, because now there's that expectation.
Okay, so let's flip it and let's talk about Baker Mayfield, the competitor, because I will say this. He's a dog competitor. He's a guy that went from being a walk-on to winning the Heisman Trophy to being the #1 overall pick. We have to understand that he's competitive, and he's looking around at his classmates, and he has to be wondering. They're talking about Josh Allen being a $40 million quarterback. They're talking about Lamar Jackson being a $40 million quarterback. Whoa, I'm the #1 overall. I want to be in the VIP club. I need to get some of that dough. And so whether we say he's feeling the pressure or not internally, he know he has to go out and prove it, because the 5th-year option is a bridge to the major contract. And so he knows, I need to ball out so I can have an opportunity to get one of those major deals, because I don't want to be in the back of the plane like Acho. I don't want to have the peanut and the soda water. I want to be in first class. I want to get a full complement of meals. I want coffee. I want tea. I want all of that. I cannot live.
Here's what you don't understand, Bucky.
On the plane.
Bucky.
I can't do that.
No. Here's what you don't understand, Bucky. Let me tell y'all, bro. Work smarter, not harder. What's the difference when you have enough mileage to where you sit in the exit row, they still bring you your food, but the exit row actually has more space than first class if you in the exit row with no chair ahead of you. So y'all spending this first class money. You spending $1,000 on a flight. I'm spending $200 on a flight. I got more food than you. I got the same meal as you, and we gonna end up on the same destination, but I'm gonna have more money in my pocket.
Get him, Bucky.
No, I need them. I need them to close the. I'm not really trying to see y'all back here. I'm trying to be undisturbed. I want to make sure that I'm sitting up here comfortable. I want to keep my shoes off, and I don't want to be bothered about what's going on. So, yeah, for me, I'll pay the extra couple $100. I'm going to make sure I got a little separation. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I just sound just like I did when I was broke and people used to clown. I was like, well, we land at the same time, so what's the point you over there paying all that money? Because you're getting a different ride to that same destination. That is funny. I love the fact that, let me end with this. You brought up how a fifth-year option is a bridge to something long-term. Listen to this. I just retweeted it from my man Warren Sharp. Let's talk about some candy right now. Now and laters. Now and laters. I know we all said it as one word. Now and laters. It's now and
I think it's now laters.
Laters. Okay. So right now, Baker feeling good. And I'm going to give you a list of guys who felt good, too, when they got their fifth-year option. And tell me how it sounded and how it ended up later. Cam Newton, top 5 drafted quarterbacks in their fifth-year option. They picked up Cam Newton's. Duh, right? But how is it right now? Interesting. Andrew Luck picked his up. Sucker retired. RG3 picked his up. Blake Bortles. Jameis Winston. Marcus Mariota. Jared Goff. Carson Wentz. They didn't do Mitchell Trubisky. Yang. But he was a Pro Bowler. Baker Mayfield hasn't been. And now Baker Mayfield. That's just an interesting list, man. I don't know where all these dudes are sitting on the plane. But Alcho, look out. Baker's still riding next to you. Shotgun. Coming up, Kliff Kingsbury called out the Rams' Malibu draft house. We'll tell you if he's earned the right to throw shade at Sean McVay, LA's own. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Buggy, that was my best laugh on this show ever.
The NFL draft is next week, and the Rams will be making their picks in style. They rented a Malibu beach house that looks something like Marcellus's castle for their war room. And their rivals in the NFC West definitely noticed. Cardinals head coach Kliff Kingsbury roasted Sean McVay about the new pad. Take a listen.
I really think it's just a ploy by McVay to allow himself the opportunity to take his shirt off again and jump in the pool like he did on Hard Knocks. Probably sip a little rosé, dip in the ocean, and make some draft picks. So I think more than anything, he headed that up. So it should be fun to watch.
So, his Kliff Kingsbury earned the right to throw shade, albeit shade in jest.
Yeah.
To throw some shade at Sean McVay.
Hell yeah. Have you seen Kliff Kingsbury's house? Yeah, we all saw it at the draft. Remember that? Sitting there in warm old Phoenix, Tempe, wherever they are. He owns half Arizona looking at that house. Fireplace on. You know, it's 200 degrees outside. He's sitting there with the fireplace on. Let me give you the specs of this house. Kliff Kingsbury, you can say what you want about anybody's house living like this. It is a 7,200 square foot home over an acre of land. Amazing. He spent over $4 million for this house. And if y'all don't know Arizona real estate, let's just say, boy, you own counties for $4+ million. But this is the craziest part. 7,200 square feet and only 4 bedrooms. Ooh, that boy's single. And boy, the bedroom's got to be bigger than the Fox studio lot. Like, you can literally run a 7-on-7 drill in one of them bedrooms. 4 bedrooms. That's what you got at Beverly Hills adjacent, right? 4 bedrooms. 7,000 square feet. So, yeah, you could throw some shade. On my next lap, I'll get into the nuggets and the details. But right now, shade anybody when you're living like that.
Bruh, you can't throw no shade. He can't do it. Because you can't throw shade at somebody who is, like, younger and better than you. You can't. Because
I can't shade you. I just shaded you last segment.
You can't do it. Because even if you do it, eventually that tide gonna turn. Ooh. And my thing is like, Kliff Kingsbury, he hasn't had a winning record sale as a football coach since 2015.
Ooh,
since he had like Patrick Mahomes on the squad, and even then he was only 7-5. Like Kliff Kingsbury, first year in Arizona, 5-10-1. Second year in Arizona, Sean McVay, first year in with the Rams, won 11 games, only won 4 the year before. Second year with the Rams, was in a Super Bowl. So they're not even in the same caliber. And Sean McVay only 35, Kliff Kingsbury 41. It's like, why you even throwing shade, bruh? Keep my name out your mouth. That's how I would feel. If I'm Sean McVay, I don't even want your shade in jest, unless we boys.
Right.
Keep my name out your mouth otherwise, man.
Wow, you want to go to the streets with this. Okay, now I get it. One-on-one, mano-a-mano. Kliff Kingsbury is 0-4 against Sean McVay. But focus, young Jedi, focus. We talking about the draft and cribs. That's all we talking about right now. I hate it in the locker room when I'm bagging on your shoes, you bagging on my suit, and then the bag talking about, well, I got more money than you. Nobody talking about all that. Nobody talking about your win-loss record, homeboy. We talking about the crib and the draft. And this is where Kliff has a point. Sean McVay, you ain't been doing so well in that draft, have you, partner? The Rams have selected 36 players in the NFL draft since Sean McVay has become the head coach. Guess how many made the Pro Bowl? Donut, not a single solitary one of them. Also, no first-round picks since Sean McVay has been there. Interesting. And if you're Kliff Kingsbury, he's sitting there like, have you checked out my draft? Yeah. Remember when I had the worst offense in the NFL when I got there? What are they ranked now? Number 6. Look at my quarterback, Kyler Murray. Oh, you just switched quarterbacks, huh? Right? Draft. What about this? 37 total touchdowns, Pro Bowl appearance in year 2, not even 24 years young. We're talking about Kyler Murray. I think Kliff want to narrow the conversation. Let's keep it about the crib, about the draft. He has a point if you talk about those.
But even if you want to talk about the draft, McVay would say, Kliff, big dog, you out here playing checkers, I'm playing chess.
Hey.
Because while Kliff, your draft picks got you a Kyler Murray, my draft picks got me a Jalen Ramsey. So I didn't have to use my picks because I didn't have my picks because I traded my picks. And instead of drafting a number 1 pick, Isaiah Simmons, who only played like 35% of the snaps last year for the Cardinals, their number 1 overall pick, our number 1 overall pick was the best cornerback in football in Jalen Ramsey and led us to the playoffs. So, yeah, Hercules, you clap for your little draft if you want to, Kliff. But I'm playing chess. You out here just playing around.
Okay, all those words, they could beef, no handshakes next year, all that stuff. But then they got to go back to the crib. And, Sean, you got a rental for the draft. Where you living at? Kliff, like, I'm going to turn my fireplace on. Everything going to blow up because it's hot as hell out there anyway. But he living better. So even if he's taking these losses, at least he feels
Arizona
good
over L.A., though?
Hell no. But that house over any house I've seen, hell yes. Coming up, does Justin Fields have the highest upside of any quarterback in this draft? Good question. We'll answer that next on Speak for Yourself. Bang, 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 bang. Former Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields could be a top 3 pick in next week's draft, but a former number 1 overall pick took it even further. David Carr says Fields is like a blank canvas that you can just paint a masterpiece with. Adding, quote, he has the most potential of any quarterback in this draft. So, Acho, does Justin Fields have the highest upside of any quarterback in this draft?
Yes, yes, and yes. Anytime you give me a quarterback that runs a 4.4, they have the highest upside of anybody in competition with them. Because if you have a player who can also run at an elite level and can throw at a competent level, then their upside is through the roof.
Yeah.
Will you ever see their upside? That's TBD. But does their upside exist? No doubt about it. You want it at the end, like when I played football, I was very, very, very limited athletically. I ran a 4.71 at the combine, only a 35-inch vertical, whatever the case may be. I was incredibly smart, but athletically I was limited. So my upside was limited. Because at the end of the day, I'm only running a 4.7. So if I got to go guard a receiver that runs a 4.5, I'm limited. Now, the linebacker that runs a 4.4, he's not that bright. But if you can teach him, he gonna be all right. So my limitations were physical. Justin Fields running the 4.4, athletically, no limitations. So give me the quarterback with no physical limitations and let me see how much I can enhance their mental game. But don't give me the quarterback that's limited physically if you want to talk upside. Lamar Jackson, 4.4 running, we would all assume. He didn't run at the combine. Unanimous MVP. Only second time in MVP history, in NFL history. Robert Griffin, 4.4 running. Rookie of the year. He ended up getting hurt, so we never saw the entirety of his upside, but he was the Rookie of the Year, the best player that came out his draft that year. Michael Vick, 4.4 running, signed $200 million deals before people just sign $100 million deals casually because his upside was so ridiculously high. Give me a quarterback that can run a 4.4 and also be competent throwing the ball. Nobody can compare with their potential. Will they reach their potential? I don't know, but their potential's limitless.
Interesting. I don't think he has the highest upside of any quarterback in this draft. I think it's Mac Jones. And I'm not trying to go semantics, but I'm trying to tell you that we look at talent as the reason, the driving force to you going out there and having upside and also talent. Playing quarterback in the NFL is not just a talent-driven conversation. Tom Brady ripped that up. Joe Montana ripped that up. Peyton Manning ripped that up. It's almost like you got to have other talents than the ones that we conventionally call talent. Like, you go out there, I could run faster than Bruce Smith. I ran a 4.6 my pro day, ran a 4.8 to combine, so you could have ran faster your pro day too. Who knows? I could beat Bruce in a 40, I think, back then. Was I good? Was I better? Was I even closer? Did I have upside? No. Jeff George had the best arm, they say, ever to play the NFL quarterback position. How'd that work out? It was spurty, as they say, up and down. So when we have an upside conversation, I want to look at other talents. I want to look at other attributes, which is hard to measure because when you start talking about the intangibles, how do you measure them fully? So I look at this situation like Mac Jones is the most pro-ready. Mac Jones looked amazing when we saw him in the college playoff series. And also, when you talk about upside to go where? Now, I'm going to give them all room to grow. But hasn't Tom Brady still showed us that where you're going to go is where I'm at? And where I'm at is not a talent conversation. So, yeah, most evaluators would say how fast you are, how big your arm is, all that stuff. But what does that add up to?
But isn't that to me, Sel? To me, that is upside, right? Let's go. We can go track and field.
Let's go.
You can go to a junior. Let's talk 12-year-olds.
Olympics?
You can not even Junior Olympics. Okay. That's even too grown for me. Okay. You can go see the 12-year-olds run, and you can be like, hey,
they had the JOs.
That one got the
Okay.
That one got the highest upside because he might not be the most technically sound, but he's still running that fast without any training. Yeah. Imagine how well he could run, how fast he could run with training. I might not necessarily take the one that's most pro-ready or college-ready. Just give me the one that got the most innate ability.
Yeah.
When you're talking basketball, LeBron James, he had the most physical gifted. Kevin Durant, 6'11", got handles plus a jumper, innate ability. When I think upside, I'm only thinking about innate ability. Yeah. Now, you're right on everything else as far as, like, what about mental aptitude, mental toughness, dedication to the game, all that stuff. But I just go straight. Innate ability, to me, means highest upside.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I've always been with you until I just saw the answers and I had to reverse engineer this conversation and reverse engineer what I'm thinking of talent. In track, that little dude with the big gait and the long strides and the quick turnover, yeah, bet on him. Everything you said, yes. But when it comes to playing quarterback, man, the best ones are not the most talented for whatever reason. You look at the Mount Rushmore, no matter how you want to slice it, it's not a talent conversation. So I look at it as simply, those are attributes that enamor us, make us say, I want him, but what does it add up to? In my position, I can see it. At quarterback, it's kind of wild out there. Coming up, Floyd Mayweather, Money May, is coming out of retirement to fight a YouTube star. We'll tell you if we're excited about that next on Speak for Yourself.
Floyd Money Mayweather is expected to fight YouTube star. Yes, I said the YouTube star. Logan Paul in an exhibition boxing match on June 5th. Now, Mayweather is a perfect 50-0 in his career, but he has not fought since 2018. Paul's last fight was against another YouTube star back in 2019. So, Marcellus, one, how do you classify or quantify a YouTube star? Like, what makes one a YouTube star?
Like, how many subscribers?
I know, like,
how many clicks?
I'm at 500,000, and I don't think I'm a YouTube star.
You have 500,000 subscribers?
Yeah, but I wouldn't classify myself as, like, a star. I'd say, like, I'm a YouTube comment. You know, like a YouTube, I would say like I'm a YouTube
I'm going to call you a star. Golly, what you doing this show for?
I guess.
Oh, whatever. I'm not giving you 500,000 subscriptions.
Okay, how excited are you for the fight?
Is Floyd in it?
Yeah, he in it.
Excited. I love how Floyd is just like, look, I'm about to whoop up on the whole Paul family, and this is how he gonna do it. I'm not gonna run down and go get one of them, Jake. I'm gonna walk down and get them all. Logan, you first. Come on out here, and it's gonna be hilarious. He's gonna toy with you. He's gonna grab you in that phone booth and say, miss, take this, miss, kiss. It's gonna be hilarious, but good entertainment because Floyd is involved.
I just got to figure out how many subscribers it takes one to become a star.
You're already there.
No, I'm not. 500,000 is not enough. If I can get to YouTube star level, then I can get in fights with Floyd Mayweather where I get paid millions of dollars to get my butt whooped. That is the trick.
Oh, but you just told me that you weren't very athletic, even though you got all those muscles. Floyd will whoop your Have a great weekend. Fox Fed Live is next.